If you want to maximize your earning potential and just be happier and more successful as a medical coder, this video is for you. I'm going to share with you my best tips on becoming a top-tier medical coder, which will enable you to possibly earn 6 figures or more. So stay throughout the video because I'm going to be giving lots of different tips, and some of them might not appeal to you, but some of them might be like right on the money. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Victoria. I'm a medical coder, auditor, educator, and content creator, and on my channel, I provide tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you be successful in a medical coding career. Now, let me first say that if you're someone who is just looking into medical billing and coding and you're like, oh gosh, I don't want to mess this up and wind up in the wrong program, and I want to know more about what a medical biller and coder does, I do have lots of content about that. But what I would encourage you to do is actually sign up for my medical coding masterclass. If you want to become a certified medical biller and coder in 6 months or less without going into student loan debt, then you definitely want to check out the masterclass. I will link it below. In this, I go over all of the top tips that I have developed over a decade plus in the industry. So the right way to train for medical billing and coding, how to save you time, how to save you money, how to get a discounted training program, how you could possibly get a free laptop with your program, and much more. It gives you that complete roadmap on, oh, I'm interested in medical billing and coding, and then how do I become job ready as a medical coder in as little as 6 months. So there is a link in the description for you to go and register today. So now onward to those of us that have the experience in medical billing and coding and we're like, oh my gosh, what is our next step? And I could have sworn that I did a video on this, and maybe I've touched on it in some concepts in the past, but I don't think I've ever done a dedicated video on like how you get to that next level as a medical biller and coder. And I know this was very much in need because I started doing coaching calls. So if you're interested in a mini coaching session, I don't do tutoring, I don't do consulting, so don't be like, how do I code this operative report or anything? But if you're like, hey, Victoria, I either think I want to get into medical billing and coding and I want to talk to someone just for like 15 minutes, or if you're a coder and you're like, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do next in my career, I do offer 15-minute coaching calls. I will link those below as well. But when I started doing coaching calls, what I found out was I was getting a lot of medical coders who were like, Victoria, I've been doing this for years. You know, I need to move to the next level. I have options. I just don't know what to do. And that's actually a great place to be when you are actually in the industry. You know that you're like okay where you're at least, but you're looking for that next something, that next adventure, that next challenge. So one of the first things you could consider is getting into doing a different type of coding. So maybe you're someone who's been doing risk adjustment, you just work in ICD-10 CM, maybe start working towards getting your CPC and doing professional fee coding where you're going to work with CPT as well. Or if you're someone who's a CPC and you just do professional fee coding, maybe think about learning inpatient coding, maybe think about learning ICD-10 PCS and getting your CCS certification. Or even vice versa, if you're with a HEMA, try and get an AAPC certification. So say you've been doing E&M coding and you code X amount of charts an hour, and now you are trained in inpatient coding, you can say, oh, well, I want to take all that success that I've had coding E&M and now bring that into the inpatient world and bring you success as well because I've proven myself, I have this track record. I'm just trying to learn a new type of coding or get a job in a new type of coding. It really widens all of those opportunities that you have within this industry. Or you could even try, like if you've been working for large healthcare organizations, try working for an insurance agency. Or if you've been working for the insurance or the payer side, maybe try going and working at a small practice and see what that's like. So you can change some kind of those settings or scenarios. Or maybe if you're someone who's been working from home for a long time and you've just been kind of a project-oriented, like very detached type of medical coder, maybe try going in person and working an in-person job. And there are certain organizations that, depending on the type of coding, they might want that certain credential from a certain organization. A lot of inpatient coding jobs still want that CCS. There are more that will take a CIC, the Certified Inpatient Coder, but generally speaking, a lot of them, you see them wanting that CCS. So if you have your CCS and you've proven that you know inpatient coding, you can start opening yourself up to those opportunities because they will see that credential. And sometimes, you know, these recruiters, some of them are so completely amazing, and some of them, they're just learning. They know that they're supposed to look for a CPC after your title on your resume, or they know that they're supposed to see a CCS. And if they don't see exactly that, they might just take your resume and go, oh yeah, this one doesn't have it, and on to the next one. Oftentimes you heard this when I talked with Kyle, and I think you heard it when I talked with Bertram too. They're only looking at your resume for a few seconds when they have tons of resumes that they're looking for. So if they don't see the right credential, they're very prominent displayed on your resume. Sometimes that is that quick thing that they're like, oh, yep, now on to the next one. Now, another thing that you can do as a medical coder to elevate yourself, and you don't even have to have a ton of experience, and you don't have to be a top tier consultant, expert in anything other than maybe one subject, and that is publish an article in Healthcare Business Monthly. Way back when I was new in medical coding, I'd only been actually coding for maybe a year. I did plastic and reconstructive surgery, and I was opening up my Healthcare Business Monthly, which, where is my Healthcare Business Monthly? I opened up my Healthcare Business Monthly, and as I was looking through the articles and looking through the little bios, I thought, these people probably started the same place I started at. And this is what I want to do in the future. I want to be the person who's like the expert and writes articles for Healthcare Business Monthly. So why don't I just write an article? Like they're people just like me. I'm going to write an article. And that's what I did. I wrote an article, and there wasn't any information on where to submit it. So I literally just called up the AAPC general hotline number and went, hi, I wrote an article on tissue expanders, and I was wondering, if you want, I would really like to publish it in Healthcare Business Monthly. So if you could just, who do I send this to? And they told me the person to send it to. They scrubbed it all up so it looked fantastic, and it got published in Healthcare Business Monthly. Now the process is so much easier though. If you just go on the AAPC website, oftentimes you'll get this little pop-up that says, hey, get recognized, submit something to Healthcare Business Monthly. And I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to tell you the secret. Come in close. You don't have to be an expert writer for Healthcare Business Monthly because they have editors that are phenomenal. So as long as you get all of the concepts and the subjects and the codes or whatever in there, they can kind of polish it and reorganize it so that it looks very professional and editorial. And those are things that you can do to get your name out there, build your reputation a little bit, and it also looks so good on a resume. You could also try writing for Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. This just came in my mail today. I love Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. This one actually was a little bit thin, so it looks like maybe they might be in need of some writers, but you can check out their website and see about submitting articles for them as well. Now, I don't know if they have editors that will work quite as extensively as the ones for Healthcare Business Monthly. But if you're ever concerned about that, what you can do is go on a website like Fiverr.com, and you can hire someone that's a professional editor to clean up whatever you've written and make sure that the sentence structure and the flow is appropriate. Actually, the first article that I ever wrote in Healthcare Business Monthly is what landed me my very first webinar. I had someone who does webinars in medical billing and coding, and they saw my article and they reached out and asked if I would present for them. And that was how I did my first paid webinar. And then the article kind of landed some speaking engagements. So I started practicing at my local chapter. And of course I had done some teaching in the past, but as I was working on the audiences, and then I built my name in, I wound up getting an automated message from the AAPC like, hey, we saw that you wrote in Healthcare Business Monthly and we're opening speaker spots for nationals. And I applied to nationals in Las Vegas and wound up being a speaker at the national convention. And one thing I really, really want to stress about that is that no one at any point told me, hey, Victoria, go publish an article. Hey, Victoria, you should go do speaking engagements. This is really what will elevate you, what will really set you aside, what will really build you, is doing things of your own creation, that you put something together and that it wasn't that your boss told you to go do something or someone else told you that you should go and do something. It's figuring it out you're on your own and having that raw initiative. Although if you're not into the big spotlight or the big stage or crowds kind of intimidate you, you can go on a smaller solo journey and get into tutoring. You can sign up for an account on tutors.com or Wisent.com. Another thing you can do that, seems to pick up a lot is I use Squarespace Scheduling, which I love. I will link them below as well. But Squarespace Scheduling is basically nice because if I only want to set blocks up for like Thursday the 22nd between 2 and 4 p.m., I can set up that block specifically for coaching sessions, and you can do this for tutoring too. It integrates with my Zoom account, my PayPal, and my Stripe. So other than telling it basically what blocks of sessions I am available to book and what kinds of sessions, everything else gets kind of automated. So someone goes in, they find a block of time that works for them, they pay, and then it automatically takes their payment, forwards it over to me through PayPal or Stripe, and then it adds the Zoom link right onto my calendar. So all that admin work is totally taken care of by the automation, and it frees me up from having to either hire some administrative assistants or having to do it myself. And then you can go out on like LinkedIn and post and promote and say, hey, I'm doing tutoring sessions. Here's where you can book them. I do preparation for the CPC certification and the CCS certification. So you want to be really specific about exactly what it is and what people can expect when they're booking that tutoring session with you. The other thing to consider is becoming a mentor. There is a mentorship program through the AAPC. I don't know if other organizations have them like the NHA or AHIMA, but I know the AAPC does have a mentorship program. So if you need some mentoring, you can go there, but the better, more elevated, level up, like expert thing to do is to become a mentor. So if you're someone who's been in the industry for several years and you have expertise to share, you want to work on coaching and building people up, and you want to start seeing even some of the problems that newer coders are having so that maybe you can start developing tactics on how to solve those problems and build up maybe a business for yourself, sign up as a mentor so that you can get that experience helping others, assisting others, but then you also can get those ideas of some problems that maybe you can solve in the industry. Another thing to consider, and I know I talked a little bit about certifications at the beginning, but more so the different types of coding, you can also get specialty certifications. So the AAPC offers certifications for the most popular different types of specialties like general surgery or OBGYN. So you can get specialty certified. If you don't want to get certified though, you can at least get that specialty knowledge by doing the training sessions that they have for some of them, getting the study guides that they have for some of them, or there is also practicodes designated for certain specialties. So say you want to get a feeling for orthopedic coding, you want to code some cases and kind of see what it's all about, you can sign up for that specialty practicode and start coding those cases and get that feeling, and then you also earn some CEUs on top of it as well. The other thing that you can do that is super, super cool, but is going to be more expensive, so it depends on what your budget is you could go to some of those specialty society conferences, like the ASPS, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, has an annual conference every year. I believe it's typically in Las Vegas. So if you want to network with other physicians and practice managers and representatives in that industry, you can go to that specialty conference and kind of rub elbows with everyone and go, oh yeah, I'm a medical coder, and you're either interested in that industry or you're developing yourself as an expert. And maybe you can connect with some people that are interested in your services. Maybe they want you to publish something or work with them on a project, or at least you can start getting a bigger network now. Or heck, you can even just go to the general coding conferences like HealthCon. I should be at HealthCon Regional as long as it is still in person in August in Denver. And I'm going to make an attempt to get to all of the future in-person HealthCons as well. Now, my next tip, and I know this isn't going to apply to everyone because some of you might be in situations where you either can't have that conversation because of just ways that your environment is structured, but have that conversation with your boss. Oftentimes we think that our boss knows that we're like looking for the next thing, we're trying to build ourselves up or trying to grow. But what I've seen sometimes is your boss is so dead focused on the meetings and the projects and making sure that everything is running efficiently. And sometimes they don't see things that are very close to you. You're very invested in your personal growth, so you're very close to that. And someone who's not as intimately involved, because they're trying to spin a million plates at once, they might not see some of the opportunities that are available because they're not as close to the subject matter. So they might not realize that you are willing to cross-train in a different type of coding so that you can cover for someone's vacation, or that you might be interested in learning more about the different coding department. Again, if you're working in Profi and you want to learn inpatient coding, maybe they don't realize that you kind of want to start maybe shadowing some people in that department, or that you're willing to take extra projects, or maybe you're even interested in management and they could maybe try delegating certain tasks to you. And I fully recognize that, yes, there might be some people that are in work environments where maybe they have not supportive leadership, or they're in an environment where, you know, your boss might think, oh, they're trying to take my job, and they don't want to build you up. But, you know, again, if you're in an environment where you can have that conversation, I would really encourage you to do so. So really get creative and start thinking about, what do you want your future self to look like? What do you want the you in 5 years to do or experience? What kind of job do they have? And then start to think about that vision and reverse engineer it. So that person, in order to be them, you have to start doing what they're doing today. For example, like when I go to personal training, my trainer always says to me, it's about repetition, repetition, repetition. And that's how you get to be that strong fit person in the future. You can't just wait around for the future to get there. You have to start practicing the thing that fit built person does today. And again, if you want something personalized, advice specifically for you and your situation and kind of what you're going through, I am available for those coaching calls. I will link them below in case you would like to sign up for one. And then, of course, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, share this with your friends. I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, just keep on coding on.